right, zooming in from Jerusalem. All right.
We miss you.
Oh, you can't see her. She was on the screen a minute ago. Okay. Okay, so go to page 248. We're going to skip to the prayer, the last paragraph of the formal Amidah, of the formal silent prayer. The last paragraph was added later. We're going to talk about that at some point in the future. But today I want to focus on the one before the last. Sim Shalom. It's a very, very, very important grant peace, goodness, and blessing. Yeah, that's the English? Okay. So what we want to do is we want to understand some of these terms. What is peace? What is goodness? What is beracha? What are these terms? Because again, the translation and the interpretation are not always the same. We translate something quickly and briefly, but the interpretation is not always the same. So let's see what we have. First of all, the term shalom. Where do we see the term shalom very prominently in the Chumash? We see the term shalom, or what you would call peace. We see it prominently in one particular episode in the Chumash. And that is when Pinchas, one of the tribal leaders, sees the chaos going on in the fields of Moab, where Jewish men are taking Moabite women inappropriately and bowing down to the Moabite idols and so on. So what does Pinchas do? He goes and he takes a spear and he spears the head of the tribe of Shimon. He kills him with the Moabite princess that he was cohabitating with. He spears them without any judge, jury. He just takes the law into his own hands. He spears them, kills them, and lifts them up for the crowd to see. And by doing so, he ends the plague that began to hit the Israelites in the desert as a result of what they were doing. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't act when this was going on. He was so overwhelmed by the insanity of it that it took him a minute. But during that minute, Pinchas drew the spear and he acted. And when Moshe Rabbeinu goes to God and he says, so how do we understand this? God says that I'm going to give Pinchas biriti shalom, my covenant, my pact, my promise of peace. So the word shalom is really framed in that episode. Now, based on that episode, when we ask God for peace, remember all of this is in the context of ourselves and the lives we're building. When we ask God for peace, what are we asking for? And frame it not in general terms, frame it in the context of the story that we just learned about Pinchas. What would you say? It's what?
A clear conscience for what he did.
It's a what conscience?
A clear
Fantastic. It's a clear conscience. So what does that mean? Perfect. What does that mean? That means I want peace. When do I want peace? When I've had the courage to do brave things, and those brave things may not always be understood by the people around me. I want inner peace. I want inner peace. Now, that's a massive thing because some people don't do brave things. They just don't do brave things, right? How are you? How are you? Hi. You know what? If you could just grab Sidurim right there, the last row. Okay, and there's some blank paper if you want to use. So when I ask for peace, we're talking about Sim Shalom, the last paracha of the Amidah. When I ask for peace, exactly to your point, Ellen. I'm asking for peace in the context of gutsy, brave things I might have done or I'm doing. And I want to be able to have the strength, the inner peace to keep going, right? You with me? So in other words, when I ask for peace in this last beracha of the silent prayer, I'm not asking for a general sense of contentment. That's something else. I'm saying that, God, I'm a mover, I'm a builder, I'm a doer, I'm an innovator, I'm a hero, like Pinchas, I'm a hero. And despite the fact, or in parallel to the fact that I'm a hero, that I'm going to be brave, that I'm going to do gutsy things, let me be at peace. This is a very, very important, pivotal point. You got person A who doesn't necessarily do brave things, right? Doesn't do brave things. That person who doesn't do brave things doesn't reach beyond himself, doesn't take risks, doesn't attempt, right? How often are they going to be shot down? How often are they going to be in the public eye? Not very often, right? But the person, the Pinchas, the person who says, in this case, there's an absolute eternal wrong being done, and I'm going to raise the spear to stop it, and whether I'm right or wrong, I'm going to act on my convictions. Pinchas put his life at risk. He said, wait a second, people are flagrantly, publicly desecrating God's name. They're desecrating God's name. And who is desecrating God's name? The head of a tribe with a Moabite princess, the leaders. So if they are sanctioned in what they're doing, or even ignored in what they're doing, if they're ignored in what they're doing, then everybody else is going to pick up the ball. So he doesn't wait for a judgment from the rabbinic court. He doesn't wait for a decision from Moshe Rabbeinu. He goes ahead, he grabs the spears, and he does his thing. So when we ask for peace, it's in the context of personal leadership. It's in the context of guts. It's in the context of adventure. It's in the context of building, of being unafraid. Got it? Good? Okay, good. What is Tovah or Tob? What does Tob mean? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. What is Tob? What? Complete? Complete, right? Go even one step further. Tob is perfect, right? Perfectly imperfect, we call it. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that the world is Tob, or what he created on that day was Tob, it means it's perfect enough for man to now pick it up and start building with it. So when I ask God for peace, I'm asking him for inner peace in the context of me building, context of me trying, context of me sticking my neck out. And then he goes to Tob, which is, let me see the imperfect in the perfect. Let me see the imperfect in the perfect. What does that mean? What does it mean? Sarah, come on. Let me see the imperfect in the perfect. Hang on one second. Get more books. How are you? Welcome back. Okay. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?
How are you going to do that?
Okay. Okay. Hey. All right, so grab a siddur. There's some blank paper here also. Okay, everybody has a siddur? Okay. 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 248. Great. Okay. Okay. So We said as follows. We're looking at page 248. We're looking at the second to last prayer in the silent prayer. If you guys want to move up, I don't know if you could hear back there. Okay, page 248, the second last prayer in the silent prayer. Again, just very quickly, for those who joined us, Shalom is a sense of peace of mind when I've stuck my neck out. I'm taking a risk, I'm taking a chance. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people support it, some people say, who is he or she to try this thing, right? Who are you, right? So God, give me the inner peace, but inner peace again as a result of the friction that I'm doing. It's not just a quietude that's a result of non-action. It's quietude that comes with action. And I'm going to explain the other point in a minute, give you a couple examples. Tov means to recognize the opportunity in the perfect. God created a perfect world. He made a world perfect with a massive amount to do. So what does that mean? If it's perfect, how could there be so much to do? We call it perfectly imperfect. That God made the world perfectly imperfect. So let's take an example. Let's take a very local example, right? We live in a fabulous community, amazingly well developed, and so many goods and services that we provide to our community members. So many areas of need. How are you? You know what? Just grab a siddur. Open to 248. Welcome. So, we live in a perfect, so to speak, community. Not perfect, but immensely more developed than most communities, right? 248, John. Immensely more developed than most communities, right? But what's our job? Our job is to find the imperfect in the overwhelmingly perfect or overwhelmingly great, find the imperfect, identify the need, stick my neck out, start a new organization, add another division to SPH, start another school, all of the above and then some, face the criticism and the cynicism that comes invariably from the people who are not on this page, and be at peace. Let's do it again. It's very critically important. There's no need to ask God for inner peace if my life is staid, if my life is quiet, if my life is content. And even if my life wasn't quiet and content, but was challenged by the day-to-day challenges were built to deal with. So when I talk about peace, and I reference Pinchas, who's a Kanai, who's a zealot, I'm reminding myself of how zealousness is essential. And what am I asking for peace? I'm asking for peace of mind in the context of my adventurism, in the context of my courage, in the context of my attempted heroism. Yes or no?
Yes, in other words, you shouldn't stay content.
I'm sorry?
You shouldn't stay content. You should always push.
Right, I need to push primarily myself, and I need to be a hero. I need to be a hero. And what does a hero mean? Somebody sees a need or an issue, they look around, they see a need, and they act. And how baked is the concept? Minimally. It's minimally baked. We're, and not that this is heroics, and I'm not trying to, we're launching our new college, yeah? We went to a few of the schools in the community when it wasn't much more than an idea. And when did the new college, when was it born as an idea? It was talked about for many years in a lot of different circles, but it was formally born as an idea in my backyard last summer. in my backyard last summer. I sat with Morris Kisht. I asked him to come over. He's a student. He's a friend. He's a brilliant guy. I said, Morris, we've talked about this before. It's time. Let's go. You ready to come on board? He said, I'm ready to come on board under these conditions. I said, no problem, Morris. He didn't get one of the conditions he asked for, okay, not one. But we had our orientation on Monday and Tuesday. A little less than 50 students. We had 130 applications. Mind-boggling. Quality kids. We formally started in Manhattan the day after Labor Day. And cynics, you can line them up from here to not Jerome Avenue to Roosevelt Avenue. Line them up. No, they can stand in line. They can stand on top of each other and they can still fill these blocks, right? Because it's easy to be a cynic. It's easy to be a naysayer. It doesn't cost anything. So how do you go out and stick your neck out? How do you go out and stick your neck out? Yeah? How are you? How are you? Okay. You know what? Just grab a few sidurim from that back shelf if you can. How do you do it? You do it because that's what's expected. That's what Hashem expects, right? He built a world that was perfectly imperfect to empower, to enable, to embolden us to go out and build. And so therefore, if we're going out to build, we are asking for His blessing of peace. Peace means I'm not content. I'm not copacetic. I'm not dormant. I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite. And that's why I want the blessing. And what Pinchas was given, this spectacular man, he was given peace forever. They say Pinchas became Eliyahu Hanavi, the greatest of the greatest. They say Pinchas is with all of us, always. Why? Because he's the paradigm. So when I frame the Sim Shalom prayer in the context of the Amidah, the silent prayer, which is the opportunity once, twice, 3 times a day for me to say, Ricky, talk. What are you doing? Where are you going? What's your plan? How's it going? Are you emboldened by what you said at the beginning of the tefillah, which is a remembering of, calling upon who you are, who your forefathers were, what you've built, who your parents were, who your grandparents were? Are you emboldened by that? Well, you should be, because that's where it starts. Are you emboldened by the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in it? He wants you to be out there, and He's going to give understanding, new insight, help that was earned, and even help that was unearned. Are you aware of that? I'm talking to me, between me and me, right? That's why I say the Amidah, to embolden me. And then as we talked about last time, when we talk about health, right? God willing, good health for everybody. It starts with and is overwhelmingly defined by how I treat me. What do I put in my mouth? What do I drink? What circumstances do I put myself in? And we talked about that last week. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the perpetual doctor. Never shuts off his doctor's office. But it's all based on me. He can't do better for me than I do for me. Emotionally, physically, whatever it might be. But we have a remarkable confidence level because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm there with you. Take care of you, and I'm there. Take care of you emotionally, and I'm there. Build you, and I'm there. Because you are you, and you have my absolute, unrevocable commitment to bring you good. And guess what? You also had fabulous parents and very noteworthy grandparents. And you know what? You go all the way back, 5,000 years, and there's a spectacular legacy here. So when I say the Sim Shalom, I should pause and I should say, remember Pinchas, and remember the fact that he is the paradigm of the Shalom man. And how did he earn it? By being the opposite. By being an innovator, a breaker, a hero, and a zealot. Good? And Tobah means I look at the good and I find the opportunity. There's always an opportunity to build. The world is perpetually that way. Yeah.
Pinchas got the beracha, the shalom, after he was the hero.
You have to scream because I can't hear a thing.
Pinchas got the shalom, the eternal shalom, after he was a hero. So now when I'm praying, I'm asking for peace before I am a hero?
Excellent. Excellent question. Do you hear the question? Carla's question is, Pinchas, super question, right on target. Pinchas asked for the shalom. By the way, he didn't ask for it. God gave it to him after he became a hero. Right. So did he need it before? I don't know if he needed it before. No, that's why I'm talking about two different types of shalom.
You don't think you always need it?
It's two. You do. You're right. But good. Excellent. I'm glad you're teasing out the point. Excellent. We're talking about different types of shalom. We're talking about the shalom that we want regular day to day, right? Harmony, peace, quietude. We want that. Fine. That's fine. But that's the baseline stuff. God says you can figure most of that out yourself. I'm paraphrasing what he says, right? You can figure most of that out yourself. But the shalom that Pinchas got was the shalom of a revolutionary. Huh? Resilience, right? Without shalom, would I be resilient? I couldn't be resilient because I'd be second-guessing myself. Let's take another minute on this, right? We're not talking about basic contentment. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact. I'm going to give you an example. In 2008, very, very difficult time for me, when Morris Paley, he should be healthy and spectacular because he is a spectacular man. When he came over to me and he asked me to get involved with one of the schools in the community, which was going through a very, very difficult time financially and educationally, and they were talking about literally closing the school, somebody came over to me like this. Some of you maybe remember, I think I told the story, put his finger in my face, and said, "Why would you do something so stupid?" Unsolicited. I didn't ask, by the way, mister, I didn't ask for your opinion. You found the thing. You made it a point to walk across the room and say something ugly. I never forgot it. It's a long time ago. I never forgot it. But that's the norm. That's the norm. Because generally speaking, people don't want to be innovators. They don't want to be adventurers. So if you're an innovator or an adventurer, you're sticking your neck out for something, you make me feel incomplete. You make me feel less than I want to feel. I don't want to feel less because you're doing more. I don't want that. So you sit down and do less so you're not challenging my state of me. Is this making sense to anybody or no? Right? Good. So the shalom we're talking about is, how many people could you imagine came over to Pinchas after he did this and said, "You killed the head of a tribe, you're a murderer." 1 second, I stopped the plague. You didn't stop the plague, God stopped the plague. You're a murderer, mister. Maybe the Moabite authorities, so to speak, came after him and said, "You murdered our princess." Right? You're a murderer. Happens all the time. This kind of twisted reality happens all the time. I'm going to give you a classic example, which one of my students, I taught it to him, and he can't get it out of his head. He doesn't understand it. It says at the end of the Megillat Esther, right? End of Megillat Esther, right? Story of Purim. Who saves everybody? Mordechai and Esther, right? Is it crystal clear that they save everybody? Does anybody have any doubt about that? No, right? What does it say, the last verse of the Megillah? It says that most of the people liked Mordechai. Ratzoi lerov echav. 1 second. You, Mr. Whatever, Reuven, Shimon, who don't like Mordechai, do you remember the fact that a couple of years ago, every civilian was armed, and the police and the army were accompanying those civilians who were armed to come and kill you? That was a fact. I mean, the edict was 127 city-states. There's nothing to talk about. He didn't do it. Somebody else did it. Nobody did do it. It's memorialized. We read it every year till the end of time. By the way, as you know, we don't stop reading Megillat Esther ever. We read it every year till the end of time. No. Most of his brothers respected what he did. So, I have an obligation to see opportunities and to build them forever. That is my human mission. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the human being, he created the human being with a mandate to identify and build, whether it be discovering fire, as the earliest man did, or making tools, or putting seeds in the ground, or figuring out a complex mathematical equation, or writing a beautiful song. That's all what we're here to do. And the primary beneficiary, of course, is us. The primary beneficiary of our adventurism is us. So what I'm doing at the end of the Amidah, at the end of the silent prayer, I'm saying, you know what, God, I just went through the whole thing. I'm ready. And now I'm going to ask you to give me a sense of peace when there are plenty of people are not. Plenty of people are the opposite. Give me a sense of peace. Thoughts, questions? Let's go. Carla, you okay with that? Yes.
Now let's do a thought. I don't know where this prayer is from, but I remember I would pray. It said something like, Al tikri banayach elabonayach, like they're not your children, they're the builders.
Exactly, excellent.
I didn't really understand it, but thank you.
Al tikri banayach elabonayach, right?
I knew it meant literally, but thank you for letting me know.
Excellent. We builders, excellent. Excellent.
What is it? Where is that?
It's in the context of when we talk about children and next generation and, call us your builders. We are the builders.
Where is that?
What is Tova? I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it. I want to build it in. It's a beautiful point. Hold it for 2 minutes. What does beracha mean? What is beracha? Blessing. But what does beracha mean? Come on. When Yaakov Avinu attempts to give a beracha to his sons, or does give a beracha, when Yaakov Avinu gives a beracha to Yosef, HaTzadik, when Moshe Rabbeinu gives a beracha to Yoshua, what is a beracha? You're transferring. Excellent. Transferring what? Transferring what? Transferring belief, more than that. Belief and build on what we just said. We're asking God to give us inner peace in the context of heroism and courage and risk-taking, to give us a sense of tov, a sense of a constant awareness of the opportunities and the possibilities. What does beracha mean? When I give someone a beracha on Friday night, what am I doing?
Wishing them success and whatever they want.
I'm wishing them success in whatever they want, right? Is that right? Very good. So, excellent. I'm putting positive energy around them. I'm wishing them success. Now, do I give those I bless specific berachot on Friday night?
You told us we should.
You absolutely should. So, after we talked about it, did we do it? A little bit. Okay, very good. So here's what we want to be doing. We want to say the generic berachot to our daughters and to our sons, right? And then what we want to do, we want to follow those generic berachot with something as specific as possible, because a beracha, a blessing, is also a prophetic envisioning. When I give a beracha to someone, may you be healthy always. May you build a beautiful family. May you be successful in your career efforts. It's prophetic. I'm laying out a road for them. It's not just I'm just dropping some words. And to the extent that I know what my child's dreams and hopes are, and I cater my beracha to that, it's even better. I know that you're looking for a career change. I wish you the insight to understand what you want and to discover it and the people to help you build it. And I know it'll build that for you. Oh, mom is encouraging me in my efforts. That's a big deal. There's an element of prophecy in that. Because when I wish somebody good, the more I can be mefaret, the more I can detail my good wishes, the greater it becomes a roadmap for the person to follow. How does prophecy become realized? When somebody goes out and acts on it. So if I tell child A, do great, and if I tell child B, do great, and I hope this new venture that you're working on, I know this new venture, God willing, that you're working on, which is ABC, will be great for you. You have the courage, you have the vision, you have the drive, go for it. I'm effectively establishing the prophetic path. So when we see the term beracha, it doesn't mean blessing. A blessing is innocuous. It's generic. It may or may not have anything. But prophecy is something very valuable. When Yaakov Avinu, who's the classic case, right? In the Chumash, Yaakov Avinu gives the beracha to his children. He tells Zevulun, for example, where they would live in the land of Israel and what their special focus would be and where their success would be. And the same for Yehuda, and the same for Yosef, and the same for Levi, who wouldn't have a specific area of land, but would be serving the people as Levites and Kohanim and Leviim and teachers and rabbis forever and ever. So when he gave his beracha, he was giving a roadmap. So when we say, give me peace, home run. The peace means I know I'm going to be a builder, a hero, an adventurer, a risk taker. I know people are going to say and do and think and whatever they're going to do. Give me the inner wherewithal to keep going, because you know what, God? I need it. And I know what you want from me, and I want it for me, and I need it. You know, I look at myself, I say, why is it that I still remember what that guy told me 17 years ago? I shouldn't remember it, right? Because you know what? We saved the school, and we took it from worst to first. That's a fact. That is a fact. So who cares what he said? The reality is I didn't get my shalom fully internalized yet. I'm still working it. And that's why when I say it 3 times a day, I work it hard. And I think about it. God, give it to me. Give me greater resilience. The naysayers are there. Let me ignore them completely. Yeah.
I think the naysayers are a good thing, because maybe if he didn't say it to you, maybe you would just say, I'm not going to try. But maybe because he said it, the negative impact.
It could be. It's a very good point. But you know what? The naysayers take a lot of people down. You know, a lot of people say, I don't want people talking about me. I don't want people laughing at me. A lot of people do that. And I think there's a lot of great good that can come to the world, but doesn't by I tell my students the following, and it's very important for us and our children. I want you to hear this point, very important. I tell my students that the toughest life is with the greatest gift. In other words, people who have the greatest gift, and we can't control this, we either got it or we didn't. People who have the greatest gift are the people who are bright and sensitive. Bright and sensitive, right? If you're bright and insensitive, you see things, but you don't care. If you're dumb and sensitive, you don't see things. Doesn't matter. But if you're bright and sensitive, then you see the need, you understand that it has to happen, and you feel the pain, right? You feel the pain, which is a great thing because you're going to get up and do. But because you feel the pain, it also means that when the guy walks over to you and he sticks his finger in your face, you're going to be hurt by that. So I would say that the perspective of shalom, the perspective of tov, and the perspective of beracha. It's almost a bookend. Some of us learn together that we start the morning saying, give me the brazenness of a leopard. Habe'az kanamer. Give me the brazenness of a leopard. And it's the first halakha in Shulchan Aruch, the first law in Shulchan Aruch. And what does Maran say? He says, the first thing a person has to grab hold of in the morning is resilience and courage and brazenness to go out and do. And what does the Ramah bring, the Mishnah Berurah bring? He says, who is the brazenness in the context of? All the naysayers. 1 second. Torah is the greatest collection of ideas, of berachot, greater. Even to say it in these words is belittling it. There's nothing greater than Torah, nothing greater than Jewish law. You're going to start the Jewish law with a mitzvah, a commandment on a person that a person must wake up in the morning and remind himself and remind herself not to be afraid of the naysayer. You don't want to start telling me to love God? You don't want to start telling me to pray on this level? The first mitzvah you want to give me is the mitzvah to beat back the cynic. Does that make any sense? Huh? It does. Why does it make sense?
When you're going to sit and think about everybody else's thoughts and those naysayers, you're not being true to your own ratzon, your neshama, and that's where you're going to be connected to God the most.
Perfect.
Why can't we just teach people not to be naysayers?
Why can't we what?
Just teach people not to be cynics.
We can. You know what? It's an excellent point. You know who's not a naysayer? The doer. The adventurer. The courageous person is not a naysayer. That's right. But knowing you, Gail, you will figure out how to get rid of the naysayers. No. You'll do it. You'll do it. It's very hard. It's very hard. And it's hurtful. Right? You know, if you're an adventurer, you know the naysayer is hurtful. But you know what? We're barreling through. And if I know that if I'm affirming my sense of me every 3 times a day, 2 times a day, as often as we say the Amidah, I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right there with that affirmation. He wants me to claim it. Then I can barrel through anything. What is Chaim? Fourth word in this beracha. Chaim. Life. What kind of life? Many. Right. And what type? What when I say Chaim? Huh? Fulfilled, full, excellent. What else? Huh? Abundant. What else? Come on. Ubachata b'chaim. Choose life.
I think that's the doing, no?
Huh?
Isn't that the doing part that you're talking
Yeah, but what is what am I? What, when I say I'm choosing God, I'm saying God, give me inner peace. Give me a sense of the imperfection in the perfection, so I can find my areas to keep building. Give me a beracha, the vision to build. Give me the prophetic insight to build, and give me Hayim. What is Hayim? Jem, you want to say something from Jerusalem or no?
I'm good.
You're good.
Meaning? The meaningful...
Huh? No, Chaim means life in this world and life in the next world. Huh? Eternal life. So life means, it's life in this world and life in the next world.
So I was going to say we choose life, like as opposed to the Palestinians who choose death.
Absolutely true. But when we use the term Hayim in the context of the Torah, of the Chumash, or rabbinic literature, we're talking about this life, and you're right, in that context, they choose the opposite. They choose. But we're also talking about eternal life. So why am I mentioning eternal life here? Why did the rabbis write the term eternal life here? What's that?
Whatever we do in this life gets us into the next life.
Exactly. So what I become in this life is who I am in my eternal life, right? I used to call it, Gail, you may remember this. I used to call it the little rookies. I don't know if you remember this. The little rookies is every time I do something here, I create a little Ricky, a little manifestation of that action that makes up the composite of me in the eternal world. So, in the eternal world, there's no physical anything. What is there in the eternal world? What am I after 120 years? I'm all the things I did and said, and to a certain extent, thought in this world. So if I do a good deed, boop, little Ricky goes up, and that's part of my makeup. And God willing, another good deed, that goes up. If I learn Torah for this period of time, I created that little me, and it goes up. And at the end of time, what is a person? A person is the composition of all that stuff. But we have an additional thing, and it's something, God willing, we'll talk about after the summer, before the holidays. We have another remarkable thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the system, and that is that even if a person does something not so good, and that not so good little whatever goes up to my eternal makeup, I can change that. Right? Person does a good thing, right? A person comes to learn. That's part of my eternal makeup, my eternal DNA, eternally, forever and ever, right? Now, what if a person says something not nice to somebody, right? That also is eternalized. That's also a little manifestation of the person, right? As you would expect it to be. The nice element in that is we have what's called teshuvah, where I can reflect on that action and say, the me I want to be doesn't want that tied to me anymore. It's not who I am. It may have been who I was for a minute, and that's why I stumbled in this area, but the me I really want to be, the reclaimed me and the future me, doesn't want to have anything to do with this action, and therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wipes it off the page. Sheleg Yalbinu, we say. The red marks become white ones. Yeah?
So let's say you said something wrong, you realize it, and you feel very bad. You have to go to the person and say, I'm sorry, right? It has to be like that. You can't just say, oh, I realize I didn't do this.
That's right. If it involves somebody else, you have to make a reasonable attempt to clear the air with the other person. A reasonable attempt, not an unreasonable attempt. A reasonable attempt, we say, is up to 3 attempts, one of which should be with a couple of other people there. Because when someone approaches somebody 3 times, one of which is with other people there, they've already, that's a pretty heavy price. They're pretty embarrassed. They're somewhat laid raw, right, for this thing. So if a person went over to someone and asked and said, look, I made a mistake by saying this or doing this, whatever it might be, let's forget about it and move on. Once, twice. Some people say a 3rd time, some people hold with 2. But let's say 3, and one time you bring other people around, that's a massive level of embarrassment that the person put himself under. And it's more than enough to wipe the slate clean. And if the person doesn't accept it at that point, it's not our problem anymore. Good. So, Chaim means this world and the next world. Let's do a few more terms. What does chen mean? We're asking God to give us chen. What does chen mean? Charm. Excellent. Charm. What is charm? What's another word for charm? Can't hear you. Excellent. For people to look favorably, right? So charm is, give me a few other words. Give me a few sort of synonyms for charm. Huh? Charisma. Excellent. Charisma. What? Pride.
I think it was N as like
Magnetism. Very good. Excellent. It's a spirit. It's a glow. It's a glow. How does a person get that? How? A good vibe. Excellent. How does a person get that? Confidence, yeah. And? It's back here. It's all in the same. It's all in the same bucket, right? So how does a person get it? What would you say? How does the person achieve chen? You know what chen? Many of you, I'm sure, most if not all of you knew him. Joseph Beta alav shalom. Joseph had chen. He had charisma. He had magnetism. He wasn't particularly tall, but he didn't have a particularly striking opinions, but he had a massive presence in a room. Massive. There were a couple of summers where I was like his noseh kelim. You know, I was going with him from shul to shul while he spoke for Bikor Cholim, and then I took it over after that, a handful of years later. And I used to watch him in a room. He was spectacular. Much, much, much bigger than his physical presence. Because this was a man who didn't know anything but finding the imperfect in the perfect. He didn't know anything but struggling for the inner peace. And he struggled. He really struggled. I'll tell you one or two quick stories. When Joseph wouldn't, and he taught me something and I followed his path with that, Joseph wouldn't tell over a story. We never gave the names, of course. But Joseph would never tell over a story of a case that he wasn't directly involved in. So when he spoke from the pulpit, he would tell you a case about two people with assumed names that he was directly involved with, right? He'd tell 2 or 3 stories. He'd make his pitch for money. And then we'd go into the men's bathroom and he would be sobbing hysterically. Sobbing, out of control sometimes. Because these people it was real. They were very much in his life. He felt their pain as if it was his or worse. So you talk about the chen that he had when he walked in the room. Where did that chen come from? It came from being a zealot. By the way, just parenthetically, after he cried for a while, he would crack a few off-color jokes, and we would leave and get ready for the next minyan. One of the other things he taught me, which was great, which I never forgot, they used to tell him when we'd get to a first minyan, for example, they told him, Joseph, you got 5 minutes. This is the first minyan. We have a rule. I'd look at him. What did I know? I said, Joe, they told you 5 minutes. He has a 10-page speech. He goes, who cares what they say? Who cares? Who cares? They hear from me once a year. Guess what? They're going to stick around. Joe, they said they won't invite us back next year. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So when you talk about chen is an upshot of this type of heroism, courage, self-assuredness, adventurism. And we ask for it because it's an enabler. When someone has chen, they can impact more people. Someone has charisma, they can impact more people. Yeah.
But this kind of chen, I think, can you acquire it? I think you're born with it.
Oh, avoiding it?
Born.
No. You acquire it. I'm going to give you another example. We were sitting in a meeting. It was a group of Syrian and Ashkenaz young, successful business people many, many years ago. So we were sitting in a room and there was an issue that really had challenged both communities at the time. And there was a lot of young guys there. Everybody was rolling at that time, making a lot of money and this, that. So everybody was giving their spectacular wisdom. And then one man, who was the most modestly dressed of anybody in the room, there were about 100 people in the room, most modestly dressed, walked in at one point, had his head down, walked to the last row and sat in the last seat. Everybody noticed him. Most people didn't know who he was because he had a hat on and he had his head down. It's very hard to see him. Very good. Then, after about an hour of mostly worthless banter. This man humbly raised his hand and stood up, and he was dressed the most modestly of anybody. And you sensed immediately had massive charisma, massive chen. And he gave his idea. Who was he? It was Paul Reichman. Paul Reichman, Albert Reichman, these men were teachers in, what's the name of the schools in Morocco that Isaac Shalom founded? Which one? Otsar Torah schools in Morocco. They were teachers, right? They were teachers. They moved to the UK, wherever it was, and they became billionaires. But the power of their vision, created their chen, and their humility didn't downgrade their chen. They didn't walk in the room like this, they walked in the room like this, but you felt it. It was palpable, it was real, it was remarkable. And so that's what chen is. So we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for chen. But in fact, we're reminding ourselves when we ask for this, because when we ask God for something, as we've said throughout the prayer classes that we've had, we're reaffirming the notion in ourselves. So when we ask God for chen, we're reminding ourselves that courage and heroics and resilience and vision brings chen. It brings it. And I can tell when my students walk into the room, I can tell who's out there doing stuff and who's not. You see it, you feel it. Certain people, they emit chen even at a 20-year-old. He emits it. Certain people do it because they've earned it. They've earned it. And everybody can have it. Long answer to a short point, Clara, everybody can have it. Everybody can have it. Good. Let's do one more word. Last word. Let's skip chesed, because we've talked about that a lot. Let's talk about tzedakah. Let's end with that. Our beautiful summer learning. Thank you all so very much. Whoever made it throughout the summer, it was a beautiful summer of learning. I appreciate it beyond words. Thank you. Thank you. What is tzedakah? Tzidkut.
Righteousness.
Huh? Righteousness. Great. What does righteousness mean? Big word. What does it mean? What does it mean? Come on. How does a person act righteously?
Do the right thing.
Huh? You do the right thing. Good. What is the right thing?
Not always what the letter of the law says, you just do what's right.
Excellent. Doing what's right. Excellent. Now give me the right thing. What's the right thing?
Respectful.
Huh?
Respectful.
Respectful. True. What's the right thing? More.
When you do for others without judging.
Say that again.
When you do for others without judging.
Without judging. Nice. Give me more. You got it a little further. Come on. What's the right thing? The most right thing.
Without expecting it back.
I'm sorry?
Without expecting it back.
Without expecting it back. True. Take me back to the, what? You do right by you, but excellent. How do you do right by you? How do you do right by you?
You protect your own feelings and you're doing something that you're not sure about.
Okay. Let's go. A little bit more.
Why by you? Why not do right by somebody else?
Let me ask you something, Jem. What are your core strengths?
Excuse me?
What are your core strengths? What are your innate strengths? What are your innate strengths? This is a platform that we're building the college program on. It has nothing to do and everything to do with the management courses, the communication courses, the very extensive money and finance courses, the AI and marketing. It's separate from those, but everything is sitting on this. We call this the entrepreneur course. And the fundamental of the entrepreneur course is, what are my innate strengths? What are your innate strengths? Yeah. No?
Jen has a lot.
Huh?
Jen has a lot.
She made people happy.
Yeah.
She's looking to be generous and
Yeah. To make.
I'm sorry?
Transfer it.
to be generous.
No, everybody wants to be generous. Good, true, but give me your... Let me ask something. One second.
People feel good and strong and empower them and uplift them.
Okay, so that's an innate strength that you have, right? You have the capacity to do that, right? Is that true? Very good. And how do you do it?
Through smiling, through yoga, through uplifting people, through art.
Excellent. So you have the capacity to do something. Yeah, you have the capacity. God gave you that. God, you may have developed it, but God gave it to you inherently, innately. Yeah? Is that right? Good. Do you believe that God gave everybody something like that? Absolutely right. Good. Now, what did you do? You coupled that with something that you care about, an expression that you care about, and you take your innate strength in a platform that is exciting to you, and you enrich people's lives. Is that right? Am I leading the witness?
Jerry, in my art salon, many people come and they go, it's my 20th year. They come and they go, I have no talent, but I'll come for lunch. And they come in and I give them pastels or watercolors, and everybody has talent. Every person.
Exactly right. Very good.
You have to just look at it.
You have to identify it. You have to identify it, right? Good. Everybody has one or two things that he or she does naturally well. And why? Because that's how God wired you and wired each of us. Yeah? What is our life's mission, in a great extent? To discover those things and to effectuate them, to execute based on them. Because when I do that, I'm effectively refining my neshama to the next level, right? So now, you discovered yours, right? In our program, we're going to do something that's virtually never been done on a college level, ever. We're going to work with the students to understand their core strengths, and then to identify the things that they're passionate about, which serves as a delivery platform for that. And now, based on that, choose your career, choose your chesed, choose your everything else, right? Because otherwise, what ends up happening? You end up taking a job in a field that's very popular right now, which is fine, but who says you have the strength to succeed in that? Therefore, to our point, what is righteousness? What is sidkut? Righteousness is discovering my core innate strengths that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me and using them to build. There's nothing more righteous than that. There's nothing more true than that. The tzaddik, the righteous person, is the man or lady who had the courage to fight and search and dream and ask and cry and fail until he or she discovers the innate strengths, the things that they can naturally do better than most people. And everybody has them. And when you discover them, you have the courage to discover them, and you hook them up to your primary interest of that time, the interest could change, but the strength never changed. Then you claim the shingle, the mantle of being a tzaddik. And I tell my students, then you hang up your shingle, so to speak, and you move. And what's the epitome of sidkut, of righteousness, is knowing who I am and impacting the world as a result of it. So, let's wrap up. We're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and as we said throughout the Amidah, the silent prayer, when we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for something, effectively what we're doing is we're reigniting that understanding in us, we're prompting it in us, we're affirming it in us if we have the answer, we're reminding ourselves that it comes overwhelmingly from me with His help. So God, give me peace. What kind of peace do I want? The peace of Pinchas HaKanai, of Pinchas the Zealot, who had the courage, the remarkable, unprecedented courage to act when no one, not even the greatest man of all time, Moshe Rabbeinu, acted. God gave him eternal lifetime peace, but it's really eternal peace, because Pinchas lives in another iteration forever, and he will forever have that. We say that Tobah, Tob, what does Tob mean? dovetails back to the first word. To understand the imperfection in God's perfection, to identify a sliver that I can impact and to chase it. Beracha is vision, the prophetic opportunity, the ability to see as people who are loving people, as parents and teachers. Our job is to help our children and our students have that vision, have that prophecy, have that beracha. Beracha, a blessing, is a prophecy. It's a roadmap on where the person can go. Chaim, we talked about, is making an imprint in this world and the next. And tzedakah is being a tzaddik. Chen is charisma and magnetism. And we talked about some people we know and loved, all of us, those people, right? We talked about them, how they had charisma, and their charisma was an amazing enabler of people and causes. And when someone is gutsy, when someone is an adventurer, they earn the charisma. And finally, tzedakah, that I should understand who I am, and I should build with it, to be a tzaddik. Another light Thursday morning.
Question.
Yeah.
Shouldn't righteousness,
One second.
shouldn't righteousness be the first on the list?
It's a great question.
Because I think it's the only one that is like you're born with it, and you have to. You have like the obligation almost to find out what it is.
That's absolutely true. I would make the same argument. I don't know the answer, but I would make the same argument. She's saying, shouldn't it be the first on the list? You have an idea for that?
Yeah, I think so. Tzedakah in like transactional senses, let's say you're giving money to the poor, helping, right? So in this sense, it's you're giving your gift to others and then they receive from that. But it's really, it can't be till after all that stuff because you have to learn from all those experiences yourself.
Nice.
Your essence and then know how to give.
Very nice. That's nice. It's a nice possibility. Very nice.